The most difficult people I've had to tell though are my daughters and my parents. And I actually don't remember telling my parents. I do remember though being concerned about whether I should even tell them. The day I got diagnosed, my partner said, hey, let's just go tell our parents and get over and done with. And so we went and did it. But I remember being concerned about, how, sounds bleak, but, they're going to pass away before I get to later stages anyway. That's the way I was looking at it. And thinking, I could get away with that, them never even knowing. Why put them through this then? It's something about when your child has something terrible happen to them, or that something terrible is going to happen to them. It's obviously not good for you. You don't feel good. You feel like crap, and I didn't want to put them through it. I obviously changed my mind though, and I told them. I don't know why. I will assume it was because it's just about being honest. I don't know, still a part of me just thinks, why tell them? Anyway, it's about, I guess, it's about being respectful as well. Letting them know what's going on with their child, And there are still some very, very important people in my life who I haven't told yet. And I guess there's a reason for that, and I'll go into that in another video. But I don't feel good about it. Yeah. And so I'm taking actions now to make it so I can tell them. But anyway, yeah. My daughters though, they knew that I was going to the doctors originally because, I was like making sure I was being a good role model in the sense of clearly I was having some memory issues at that time, and they were sort of picking up on it, and then, so I said, oh yeah, I'm going to the doctors, get it all checked out, it's all fine, it'll be fine, because I didn't think it would lead to a diagnosis of Alzheimer's as well at that time. I kind of thought it's just something else, it's stress, and they'll help me with stress or something like that, So I didn't feel like I should have to hide that from them at the time. But anyway, it was quite a long time between seeing just your doctor, the local doctors, to seeing like a memory and cognitive, like an assessment team. While I was going through that phase, and when I got diagnosed, I wasn't telling my kids, about that. Sort of after that period, and after I got diagnosed, my eldest daughter mentioned, my eldest daughter mentioned, hey Dad, how's your testing and stuff going? Like what's happening with that? I just lied. I said, oh, it's still going, it's fine. It takes ages to see doctors and stuff, whatever, I was having enough memory and cognition issues that it was so evident for them. My youngest daughter also raised concerns too about it all and what's going on with the doctors. And at that time I was kind of trying to hide symptoms as well, like in terms of I didn't want them to worry about it. And so I still remember the day though of when I told them. My youngest daughter and I were going to the supermarket to get ingredients for the dinner we were making that night. And we had a list, wrote down the list of what ingredients we needed, and we went in the supermarket. My daughter was holding the shopping bag, and so we're like thinking, oh, what ingredients do we need? And she'd read out the ingredient, and I'd go get it, and she'd get another ingredient and put it in the bag. And I just completely forgot then what are we making? What are we doing? Sort of thing. I thought I was familiar with that we're getting stuff for dinner, but completely forgot what dinner we're making and what ingredients I was just about to get, and I just went completely blank. And I started walking around thinking, okay, it'll come to me, because I didn't want, again, I'm trying to minimize the amount of times they see me do that, because it's happening a lot, and so I'm just trying to minimize their exposure to that. Anyway, it didn't come to me, and so I just said, oh, what are we cooking again? Yeah, we got home and put the ingredients on the table, and my daughter just looked at me and said, like, just straight out, Dad, do you have dementia? And at that point, it was so obvious. I was like, okay, I'm clearly doing more damage than good with this. I'm just going to have to tell them. And so I brought my other daughter in. She was in her bedroom. And I just told them, and was very factual. It's kind of funny too. I'm not, at that time, it'd been some time since I've been diagnosed, and so I wasn't very emotional about it all. It was just, and I was kind of in denial at that stage as well, a little bit. And so I just told them very factual and sort of said, oh, this is what the doctors have said. And I did, no, they asked, we talked about it for a couple of hours. And so they were asking about what does it mean for the future and all this sort of stuff. And I was just open and honest and transparent with everything. And we talked again, over the next couple of few days. And then it's not something we talk about much anymore. They're teenage girls and they've got their own dramas going on in their own life. And now it's just Dad does his thing. He has some memory lapses and days where he's more foggy and stuff. And it's not a big cause for concern. We're all just sort of living life. It's not that we're trying to avoid it in any way, the conversation. If they're concerned or something, they bring it up, but it's nothing. It's surprisingly how well adapted they become at the news, and we've also just got strategies in place too. So if they're going to work or if they're seeing a friend, they tell me and stuff, but they also just send me a text message because they know I didn't know I'm going to forget later on where they are. I'll be pretty confident they're either at a friend's or they're working, but so I can look at my text message and go, oh, that's right, they're doing that, or and they're back at that time. And although they've been a little bit not so proactive with that lately, they're dropping the ball a little bit, so I've got to give them a little reminder, do that, because I do get worried. I'm like, oh shit, where the hell are they? I need that text message. Actually, text messages are really good because it tells you the date and time it was sent, and so I know that's the most relevant for now. And anyway, simple little thing, amazing how much of a difference that makes. I feel like for other people though, who aren't your loved ones, aren't close, I kind of feel like you really could just not tell people while your symptoms are very mild anyway. Because everybody's got their own bucket of shit they're going through, and we don't all tell each other about our own buckets of shit. Yeah, so I think it's perfectly reasonable to not want to tell other people. At the same time though, I think it's perfectly fine to tell people. I've told my work, and I've told I told my mates. I don't know if you can hear the amount of bird life there is here, but it's insane. It's incredible. It's so peaceful out here. Anyway, so yeah, that's the hardest thing. Telling the people who are really in it for life, I remember telling my partner's dad, and I think I remember because it was just a bit different than what I was expecting. We went to his shop, and his response was just a little bit like, "Oh, that's not good. That, yeah, it sucks," sort of thing. And he's very, very polite and nothing wrong with how he reacted. It was more just I expected a little bit more shock. And we went back to my parents' house where her mum was, and I remember my partner getting a phone call while we were there, while we were talking to the mum, and I thought, I think that's a dad. And my partner went to a different room, and at the time I remember thinking, he is saying, you need to leave him. You need to get the hell out of there. We'd only been together for 4 years, and she's got her own young children. And I kind of just thought, his priority is his daughter and his grandkids. And I just thought, you have every right, if you're saying to your daughter right now, get out of that relationship. Anyway, I spoke to my partner about it later on, and she's like, oh, no, he just looked into it more and realised the gravity of the situation, and was just like, if there's anything we can do to help and support, and just let us know. And I think either way of reacting I would have totally respected and be completely fine. But they really are they're lovely people. They really are. They made a lovely daughter. The next person I told though was my sister, and my sister worked in aged care at the time. And we talk on the phone quite a bit. And she was just like, there is no way you have dementia. What? And I'm not going to lie, I think that was a big reason why I questioned the diagnosis myself, because I thought, man, she's around it all the time. But again, it just comes back to, she's not in my little bubble who has to experience me on a day-to-day basis, and see me in the moments of living life, and forgetting what I'm doing at the supermarket, or and since then she's definitely changed her tone with that. She's been looking at places where I can live closer to her, and get my parents and I to live closer together, and she can look after all of us. And not that I don't want that. I just want to be put in a home, let some other people look after me. Anyway, that's another topic another day. But again, another different type of response. I don't remember telling my buddies, so it must have been very uneventful. And they're great. I like humour. I think humour's a good way of responding to things and stuff. So when we're playing golf, if I do have a little bit of a memory lapse, which doesn't happen very often on the golf course when I'm with my mates, but if it does happen, they'll just joke about it. I love it. I think it's great. I could bring up something sensitive too, and if I wanted to, again, it's not a big part of it. Symptoms are very mild, so it's not having a drastic issue on a lot of aspects of my life. So again, don't need to ruminate about it. Then I guess the next people I told was work, and I'm not going to lie, I was a little bit hesitant, because you think, is it going to be the start of them trying to find a way to get me out? But I had that thought initially, briefly. I think it would cross everybody's mind. I've got an amazing workplace. The colleagues and stuff are fantastic. I'm very, very fortunate, and I thought, nah, they're not going to react that way. And they haven't, and they've been just the most supportive workplace ever. It's been fantastic. So I'm very, very lucky. I told my boss, and then she's like, oh, do you mind if I tell other people? Do you mind if I tell the director and stuff? I said, yeah, that's fine, no worries. and the director gave me a call and said, "Hey, do you mind if we tell their other staff? You don't have to if you don't want to." And it is interesting because at the time I was trying to put all this stuff sort of out of my head and bury my head in the sand and not think about it. I just wanted to go and live life, not. And so at the time I sort of said, "Look, I'm happy to whatever you want to do. If you don't want to tell people, I'm completely fine with that. If you do want to tell people, I'm fine with it. Either way, whatever you think's best for the business, kind of a way you guys trust how you want to manage it. I don't mind." And at the time I was sort of telling myself I don't care, but I do care. I do care, and a part of it too is I was a little concerned, I guess, with how will people treat me? Will they look at me differently now? Especially when it comes to, I'm a researcher, and everyone's got like a PhD and stuff, and you're thinking, am I going to be sort of looked less upon now? Couldn't help, so you do sort of think that, and especially just in society, dementia and stuff, it hasn't got a great sort of connotation to it all, but again, workplace has been fantastic. My colleagues are amazing. I haven't had that at all, but it was just a little, probably initial worry in the back of my mind that was going on at the time. I didn't want to tell people, like, tell this person, then have to tell this person, then tell that. We have quite a pretty big number of staff, and I also didn't want to make it too that, oh, this person knows and this person doesn't know, and then it becomes like a gossip. So I just tell everyone at once. And so we have this little thing at work where at the end of each staff meeting, the last 15 minutes, a person has 15 minutes to tell us about anything they want, but everyone's sort of talking about their childhood and how they got to where they are now. And it's quite funny. And people are really good at telling their stories. It's a good initiative at your workplace. If you do it if you can. I kind of stuffed up a little bit because I was burying my head in the sand at the time and just thinking, shit goes on, shit happens in people's lives, and life goes on. Everyone's got their own shit they have to deal with, so mine's not any bigger really than what people are facing in everyday in what their own issues are. And so I kind of played it down a little bit and had I think I went for like 12 minutes, a presentation where I had a main character on my PowerPoint slides was Chris Hemsworth, because at the time he was in the media a lot because he just found out that he had like a 10 times risk of getting Alzheimer's. And so I kind of just leveraged that and had a humorous story about him. And okay, it wasn't completely lighthearted. I was being still sensitive to the topic, but I had some jokes in there. And most people were in the office, and I was zooming in because I don't live anywhere near work. I was zooming in, and all I got was radio silence the whole way through. I had no idea how people were reacting. Usually people laugh at jokes and stuff, and I wasn't getting any feedback whatsoever. I just powered through. Later on I found out that everyone was just in shock, and some people were crying. Not going to lie, it makes you feel quite special when you hear that. But at the time I had no idea how people were responding. And I just missed the mark. So, for them, it was the first time they'd heard anything about it, and so it's a shock. Again, I was already, I'm over it sort of thing. And I knew that there was also the first time people heard it, but I still thought they could find humour in it anyway. Maybe don't do that approach if you're thinking about doing that. There was another one too, sorry, my broader family, my cousins and etc. So I only see my cousins usually like at Christmas, and some of them who live on the other side of the country I haven't seen in like 10 years. They came together though, and they were staying at my parents' place for a few days. I hadn't told them, and I wasn't, again, we don't communicate very often. I remember talking to my sister so the day before it, or in the days before it, and and then her asking, "Oh, are you going to tell them?" And I was like, "Nah, there's no point." I just felt like this sounds pretty bleak. Given that I haven't seen someone for like 10 years, I thought this could be the last time I actually see them, and at least see them, and I've still got my marbles, you know. And so I didn't want to waste the time that I had. They're all lovely people, and even for the ones I see just each sort of Christmas, I've only got X number of Christmases where my head's still with it a lot, you know, so I just wanted to appreciate the time that I got with them. And so I didn't want to tell them. I went and saw them 3 days and just really try to soak it in. Of course, I'm soaking it in, and I'm in my head and thinking they're just thinking everything's normal, and it's, you know, good to see each other and stuff. But then when we were sitting down and talking and stuff, my sister brought it up. And I remember looking at her and just thinking, why the hell are you bringing this up? I just told you I don't want to tell them about the diagnosis. And then my cousin sort of said, yeah, Fraser, we heard it's terrible news. That's shit. And of course, I was just in shock, and I just tried to brush it away. And I was, oh yeah, oh crap, you know, whatever. It's all right. Move on, sort of the conversation. Next topic, please, kind of thing. But I was disappointed because I thought my sister had told them. And I ended up speaking to her just more recently, and I just sort of brought it up and said, oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I was a bit disappointed in you. What did you do that for? You know, and she's like, no, I never told them. And we had a conversation, and there was more I can't remember what the conclusion was of the most recent conversation I had with her. This is the thing with, like, I don't know even if my recollection of what I just told you before is what happened. Does your head in, this stuff? Because I can't remember the conversation I had with my sister where I talked about it with her. All I remember is walking away from that conversation I had with her was, oh, it all makes sense and it's all resolved and it's fine. Everything is fine. So I don't know what's real now and what's not. But I think it's a matter of just being. I should have just, like, I handled that incorrectly. I should have said, yeah, it's, you know, crappy news and stuff like that, and I guess it changes my future and stuff, but everything's fine now. And I really just changed the conversation. Like, it was bizarre. I would have looked very bizarre how I responded. Again, I was in shock, wasn't expecting it to happen. But I guess you're not going to, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter how I responded. It's fine either way. If I cluck like a chicken, probably wouldn't have made that much difference. That's probably not true. They probably would have called an ambulance. But, you know, it doesn't really, it's not that big. Wow. That's a blowy. I'm not sure if every part of the world gets blowies, but that's a blowy. There's a decent size, they're loud.
Daybreak, I'm already miles away, and there's nothing left to say.